The camera's going.
That was Burlington still undefeated?
Yeah, they made undefeated.
Yeah. Hello, John.
Hello, Dan.
How you doing, man?
Good.
No, I just wanted information. And I also, I wish we were doing it in the afternoon. That was the part of the information I wanted, but I didn't.
You didn't succeed with that one.
Well, I didn't try. It just felt like people are not real. Thanks. So how are you guys? Good morning. That 25,000 be removed from the budget, deleted. I'd give you a total, but obviously the total that's down here, thanks to Tina's sharp eye, is erroneous. So I don't know what the
total's probably right. It was the change column where she.
Well, I'll leave that aside. The motion I want to make is to delete that from the budget.
This is an amendment you'd like to make to the line item of $25,000 for traffic enforcement from the selectmen's budget. Is there a second? I'm sorry?
By information I got from people who had experience with the sheriff, it was not, well, it's never anything you enjoy, but apparently this fellow was particularly, let's say, unprofessional, or he took too much pleasure in his duties. But that aside, I've got a serious, maybe somewhat cranky response to this, and that I have a response to the thing is, we started with speed limits. You know, we do things, we see a problem and we look for a solution. And when you do that, you tend to narrow your focus to find the solution. And when you narrow your focus, you lose the big picture of possibly what other consequences will come from this. I see two consequences from when we got speed limits. You've got speed limits, well now you need somebody to enforce them. Okay. The second thing is, I'm a conservative. I moved to this town somewhat ignorantly but somewhat hopefully looking for a way of life, and I was very happy with what I found. And in the 14 years that I've been here, like a lot of other things in life, I find it being eroded, chipped away at the edges. And having a sheriff on local roads seems to be one of those things of the way of life that conflicts with the values of this town. Certainly, I see a lot of driving that you wish people would either slow down or maybe get off their cell phones and rejoin the planet. But I think the solution of the sheriff is not one that we need, and would argue that for I don't know how many decades we've managed without it, and we could continue to. So that's my statement.
All right.
I think one of the things that's happening in government at all levels is there's so much uncertainty. There's a lot of fear. So there's the idea that there are solutions that can make us safer. And in some ways, there's just risk is part of life. And when you go for one of these solutions, you give up something. And in this town, yeah, there are always stories of near misses and accidents. And the question I have is, this gets around. I mean, this just addresses the basic thing of citizenship and responsibility. That, we say it's impossible to get people, since 9 months, if not, most of the driving on Elizabeth Bassett's Road and Greenbush Road, I won't mention the road, is us. Remember the old Pogo cartoon? We've met the enemy and it's us. That's who's doing that driving. So the question is, do we need outside solutions that then bring restrictions to our life, or can we do this ourselves? I mean, I just ask everybody to think of, each time we go for convenience, we're giving up something. We went, on the school issue, we went for the convenience of Australian ballot, and overwhelmingly so. But what we gave up was 240 years of tradition, and seemingly without a whole lot of consideration. So this is chipping away, and I know logic. I know I'm flying, against the tide here. But I just ask you to consider what the cost of these solutions are. Thank you.
Folks,
again about Thompson Point rent. The question I have is, I see that it's, I understood why it's going down, but why is the rent so small? I mean, things have been selling down there for, big bucks. And next to this looks like, we're getting hosed here. Or this could be a source of revenue for the town that, is this a sweetheart deal? And when do we start getting fair market value? And what is the whole situation with the Thompson Point rents? And can somebody explain that? Well, it's on page 7 of the budget in terms of revenue, but I'm wondering why it's so small, given the value of what properties you're selling for there.
Select Board.
First of all, this is the rental based on the
advantage. And is there some legal restriction on this? Because it seems like this is a source of revenue that the town has. We're real good at taking gifts and then getting expenses for them. You can go through that budget and find lots of things that people gave us that now we're maintaining. But this feels like it's sort of an asset, a town asset that is not being we're not getting a fair return on.
Your point's well taken, and I think we should look at what the outer limits of what we can try to earn from there.
Why has this been like this for so many years? I mean, our taxes are going up, and here's a potential source of revenue, and it looks like it's severely undervalued.
They're just renting the land.
Yeah, I know they're just renting the land, but
They're paying taxes on their houses.
that's lakefront land. I mean,
They're paying taxes on the houses.
the question is always about more, and when what is enough, and how do we, as relatively uninformed citizens, how do you make a decision based on this? I find in the areas of public safety, education, healthcare, we're particularly prone to fear. But I'm going to go back to something that I think is just a theme that has been recurring here. And it's this idea of more, safer, more for schools, more this, more that. I mean, why not just build a dome over Charlotte so we're insulated from everything? I mean, we got to be realistic here. This is a small town, this is local government, we've got to scale things and realize that all of these things add up. The idea of a shelter at the senior center, it just doesn't make sense. I mean, it's really almost, it flies in the face of common sense, and I would urge the voters to reject this proposal.
Okay, the lady in